On the outside, the Swift sports a sleek and modern design. Suzuki have introduced a new Horizon design line that wraps around the vehicle, creating a sense of motion. Rounded shoulder lines give it a sporty edge, while the iconic Suzuki badge proudly sits at the front of the bonnet. Lower headlight positions and L-shaped daytime running lights not only enhance visibility, but also add a touch of sophistication. And check out those clear rear tailgate lights.
This is the Border Northeast Daily with Catherine Halleran. A 28-year-old Halong man has died following a single vehicle crash at Browns Plains on Saturday morning. Emma Clark reports.
Police believe the vehicle lost control and struck a tree near the intersection of Chiltern Howlong and Gurumata roads just after 9:30. The driver, who was the sole occupant of the car, died at the scene. Victoria Police spokesperson John McLaughlin said the circumstances surrounding the crash are yet to be determined and an investigation remains ongoing. Anyone who witnessed the incident or has dashcam or CCTV footage is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Emma Clark, Ace Radio.
The Australian seasonal bushfire outlook for winter 2025 has been released. Residents across the northeast are urged to remain vigilant over the colder months following a dry and warm autumn. March and April saw the state's fourth highest temperatures on record and below average rainfall. CFA District 24 Assistant Chief Fire Officer Brett Myers says the towns with a heightened risk in the northeast include Myrtleford, Corryong, Bright and Estdale.
Well, CFA will definitely be keeping an eye on this over the winter period, and it could potentially lead to an earlier start to the fire season later this year. So it is crazy to think, especially for the Cowlong Shire, that we've just come out of one fire season and we're already starting to think about the next. So I think it's showing that some extra vigilance leading through this winter period is really important, and making sure that people are doing their bit to make sure that their properties are prepared for the fire season, November, December later this year.
The Victorian government has announced an extension of its drought relief package for farmers throughout the state. Premier Jacinda Allen confirmed that the emergency services and volunteer fund rate will also stay unchanged.
The emergency services levy rate for all farmers statewide will be held at the 2024-25 rates. So it means that the rate that farmers are paying now will be the rate that they will pay into the next financial year as well, in recognition that we've done that for those drought-affected councils to date. We're expanding that today for farmers statewide, that their 25-26 levy rate will be held at the 24-25 levy rate.
Meantime, Victorian Farmers Federation President Brett Hosking says it's a good start, but more needs to be done.
It's not enough. No, it's certainly not enough. And in particular, I don't think it's enough for those areas that are worst hit. It does create some increased capacity in those areas. There's a whole lot of conversations that still have to take place, and the task force will form a really important part of that. Funding's around further grants to ensure we're generating that cash flow in these worst hit communities, so that not just the farmers are supported, but also the local businesses. Funding to ensure our students and our young people, still have the opportunity to engage and to look for a future in agriculture.
Corryong Spirit have announced the event will return in 2025. The event, which will be held on August 15 at the Corryong Event Centre, honours the lives lost after the 2019-2020 bushfires. Further details and announcements for the event will be made soon.
The latest PropTrack data has revealed some interesting new stats on house prices around regional areas like ours.
Now, in regional areas, home prices lifted by 0.25% in May, bringing them to a new peak. Over the past year, regional markets have outperformed capital cities, despite capital cities leading the pace of monthly growth in May.
Senior economist Eleanor Cray there. As for regional Victoria itself, home prices rose around 0.18% last month, up almost 0.4% overall on the same time last year. A 26-year-old man from Tatura will front court later this week, charged with dangerous driving causing death after an incident in Yarrawonga on Anzac Day. Police will allege two people were involved in an altercation in the town before a woman tried to intervene. They'll claim a man got into a car and collided with that woman as it left the scene. CPR was performed on the 46-year-old Yarrawonga woman, but she died at the scene. The man has been bailed to face Shepparton Magistrates Court at some stage on Thursday. And farmers across the border and northeast have been given a reprieve, with the Victorian state government announcing it will cap the Emergency Services Fund. The move will see farming properties pay the same rate as they did under the outgoing Fire Services Levy next financial year, rather than the increased rate proposed under the newly established fund. Additionally, Spring Street has also announced the expansion of its drought support package, allowing farmers to access up to $5,000 in grants.
Police have seized multiple knives during a high-visibility operation in Albury. As part of Operation Aries, officers from the Murray River Police District used handheld metal detecting wands in the Albury CBD last Friday, scanning 98 people between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. The one-day blitz led to the seizure of 4 weapons and prohibited drugs, 4 arrests and 6 charges laid, including for drug possession and harassing police. New South Wales Police says the operation aims to keep public spaces safer by targeting knife possession. A vacant home in North Albury has been damaged in a blaze on Sunday night. Fire crews were called to the home at the intersection of Wontagong and Wingara Streets around 7 p.m, with the home fully alight by the time firefighters were on scene. Fire and Rescue New South Wales Superintendent Stuart Alexander said the fire is being investigated by police to determine the cause. It's understood the property was not occupied permanently. Albury-Wodonga Health is urging the community to keep its emergency departments for life-threatening or urgent medical emergencies only. In a statement posted online last night, Albury-Wodonga Health said it is currently operating under significant and sustained pressure across our emergency departments, inpatient units and overflow care areas. Residents are asked to use alternative services for non-life-threatening conditions, including the Victorian Virtual Emergency Department and the Border Urgent Care Centre. Owner of Priceline Pharmacy in Albury, Amanda Ward, has been named as National Priceline Pharmacist of the Year for 2025. The Border Pharmacist was also announced as Victoria's Pharmacist of the Year for Priceline Pharmacy earlier this year. Ms. Ward says it's an honour to be recognised for something she loves doing.
When I was 17, I didn't know what I wanted to be, and I got sick, and a pharmacist helped me through that difficult time. And at that time, that's when I went, this is what I want to do, this is my calling. I came and did a placement in Albury, and I knew that I needed to be in a regional area because I could make the biggest difference by being in a regional area, being able to impact people's lives when they hug you because you've made a change that helps them live a better life. I love those moments.
There's never been a better time to catch a Murray spiny freshwater crayfish, with a 3-month-long season now open. Marquise Dale reports.
Victorian Fisheries Authority CEO Travis Dowling said the prized freshwater species could be caught in northern and northeast Victoria and were great fun for fishers of all ages and experience levels. Surveys have found that the species has increased in the Goulburn River and Wodonga Creek. Key rules for catching Murray's spiny freshwater crayfish include the 10 to 12 centimetre slot limit, a daily bag limit of 2 crays and statewide possession limit of 4 per person at any one time. For further details, grab a free recreational fishing guide from a tackle store, download the free Vic fishing app or head to the VFA's website. Marquise Dale, Ace Radio.
The federal opposition believes it's time to bring back interest-free loans for drought-affected farmers around the border and northeast. They were available 5 years ago when producers could access loans up to $2 million with no interest for 2 years. Nationals leader David Littleproud says current assistance doesn't go far enough.
This is the sort of stuff that I think the government should consider, whether it be for flood or for drought, to actually give our farmers the opportunity to refinance some of their debt so they're not paying bank interest for a couple of years, and giving them the time to restock and replant and survive.
Albury-Wodonga Health is asking people to consider other options amid major demand at its emergency departments. They say you should only attend if it's life-threatening or an urgent medical emergency, with other options available like the urgent and priority primary care centres available. And an emphasis on support for the victims of crime in rural and regional New South Wales. That's one of the things the Country Mayors Association was happy to see in the interim report into community safety in rural and regional New South Wales. However, Chair Rick Furman is concerned there wasn't enough emphasis on getting tougher on crime around the border, hoping to see that in the next report.
The soft approach doesn't work. I just don't know what else we've got to do. If you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting. And I think that certainly we have to get tougher, but that's not to say that also various other programs should not be considered as well.
The cost of a mining licence across Victoria's regions is set to climb by as much as 230%. According to the state government, the proposed price hike is due to an increase in licence applications and will ensure the Earth Resources Regulator has the assets it needs to keep the community and miners safe. But the Prospectors and Mining Association isn't so sure, telling the Herald Sun it would lead to more people not following the rules. Hanson Youngkin will build Albury Hospital's new northeast building as part of the overall redevelopment. They've been awarded the tender by New South Wales Health Infrastructure with the building to house things like staff areas, outpatient clinics and a pharmacy. Lifeblood has issued a fresh plea for help as supplies across Australia continue to fall. Around the border, they need at least 95 donors with blood types O positive and O negative over the next week. While the group's Stuart Chesno says if you don't know your blood type, Lifeblood can help out with that.
If you've never donated before and you don't know your blood type, blood donation is an ideal way to find out. Book a donation on 13 14 95 or go to lifeblood.com.au or download the Donate Blood app.
And the Victorian state government says it'll send a clear message that harmful off-campus behaviour won't be tolerated. As of Term 3, Victorian principals around the border and northeast will have the power to expel and suspend students for their behaviour outside of school hours.
Police are urging drivers heading to the Alpine region to plan ahead with the start of the snow season this weekend. Emma Clark has more.
Last year, nearly 1,500 vehicles were turned back at Mount Hotham alone for not carrying legally required wheel chains. All vehicles entering snow areas must carry chains and fit them when directed, or face fines of up to $988. Police will be conducting checks across major routes, including Mount Buller, Falls Creek and Mount Hotham, and are reminding drivers not to rely solely on a GPS when travelling to the Alpine region. Eastern Region Division 4 Superintendent Joy Arbuthnot says if you arrive without snow chains or the proper preparation, you'll be turned around. Emma Clark, Ace Radio.
Albury-Wodonga Health stood down its code yellow emergency at 8:30 yesterday morning. Marquise Dell reports.
An internal alert was triggered this week due to continued pressure on hospital access and patient flow, following a surge in emergency department pressures on Monday night. Albury-Wodonga Health says the situation is now stabilised thanks to the coordinated efforts across the service, support from neighbouring health providers and key measurements put in place to manage care directly through winter. CEO Bill Applesby says while pressure on the health system remains, they are now in a position to safely and effectively continue delivering care. The community is being urged to use alternatives for non-urgent medical needs, including GPs, urgent healthcare clinics and local pharmacists. Marquise Dale, Ace Radio.
Minimum wage workers on the border will receive a 3.5% increase to their wages from the start of July. The national minimum wage will increase from $24.10 to $24.94 per hour. Albury Business Connect General Manager Glenn Robinson says it will benefit a number of workers on the border.
Overall, the biggest industry impacted is probably those hospitality and also our younger people that have those jobs that are not necessarily 9 to 5, but sort of low skilled, but lots and lots of labour involved. It's interesting that it's not until you sort of find out a little bit more about it. This affects 2.6 million Australians, so it really is a big, big cohort.
Albury-Wodonga Theatre Company will wrap up its run of Come From Away this week. Director Joseph Thompson says tickets are selling fast to the final shows.
Yeah, we're just amazed by that and, again, really gratified by it. It's had a great impact on the cast and the crew, seeing all these comments on social media and just feedback, people saying they're going to come back again, they're going to bring friends and already booked their second tickets.
Victorian Police will have a zero-tolerance approach to anyone not fitting wheel chains to their vehicles if they're heading to the border's Alpine region, including Falls Creek this snow season. You'll face a fine of up to $1,000 and won't be allowed to enter a resort. Superintendent Joy Arbuthnot says it's not hard to do the right thing.
I would really recommend that people actually jump on the internet and have a look at or familiarise themselves with driving in icy conditions. It really means that they need to slow down and drive to the road conditions. Don't drive up behind other cars and, of course, fit chains.
Well, following some pretty hefty pressure on its services around the border earlier this week, Albury-Wodonga Health has lifted a code yellow alert. They have been forced to ask people not to present to emergency departments unless it was an emergency, instead directing people to other services like priority or primary care centres. Meantime, border residents are being encouraged to keep up to date with their flu and COVID vaccinations. Workers' comp reform is one step closer in New South Wales, despite strong opposition earlier this week. The bill now faces a crucial vote in the Upper House today. State Nationals Deputy Leader Gomesh Singh says this isn't good legislation.
There's a lot of things that could be looked at to bring premiums down, and the fact that the government rushed this bill through, has to be done this week for some reason, means that we don't get to look at those options.
And a final reminder for border businesses, if you're considering slinging in an application for the Albury-Wodonga Business Awards, that extended deadline comes to an end at 11:59pm tonight. The finalists will be announced early July, while the gala night itself will be held in August.
A tragic start ahead of the long weekend with a fatal crash at Henty last night. Emergency services were called to Back Henty Road around 10pm following reports a car had crashed. Officers from the Murray River Police District arrived to find a ute had crashed into a tree. The driver and sole occupant, a 20-year-old man, died at the scene. Investigations remain ongoing and police will now prepare a report for the coroner. A woman who was reportedly struck by a car in Myrtleford last month has now died 2 weeks later from her injuries. The 59-year-old woman is believed to have been hit by a reversing vehicle on O'Donnell Avenue in Myrtleford just after 9am on May 20. She was flown to the Royal Melbourne Hospital with serious injuries but died on Tuesday this week. The driver, a 62-year-old Myrtleford man, was interviewed and released pending further investigation. Investigations remain ongoing and police are urging anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Victoria Police is urging motorists across the northeast to take extra care on the roads over the King's Birthday long weekend, as the number of lives lost surges to a 16-year high. Marquise Dell reports.
Operation Regal, which is now underway, will see police ramp up enforcement across the state in an effort to drive down road trauma. There have now been 135 lives lost on Victorian roads in 2025, up 13% on the same time last year. The last time 135 or more lives lost had been recorded at this point of the year was in 2008 with 137. The operation concludes on Monday night. Marquise Dale, Ace Radio.
Plenty of brave border residents will plunge into icy waters tonight, all for a good cause. Albury Swim Centre will play host to its first Fight MND Big Freeze event tonight. Albury-Wodonga Aligned Manager Morris Eames says all the action gets underway from 4pm and there's still time to get involved.
That's when we'll be doing the slide. Currently, we have about 15 registered sliders, which includes myself, being able to get some sponsorship through, about $500 sitting there, and hopefully that grows. Other people have registered, and each slide person, it's a minimum of $5 registration or donation to Fight MND for every slide rider, or it can be more. You can nominate your boss, anyone from your work and so forth. And the best way of doing it is possibly come down anytime between 4 and 6 or before that.
And Alpine Resorts are gearing up for a big weekend with the official opening of the snow season. Head of Visitor Experience at Falls Creek Alpine Resort, David Leatham, says there will be plenty happening to celebrate the start of the season.
Opening weekend, and obviously we've got a great program of things on, so whether snow here is a great bonus, but it's a great time for the resort to open up, for people to come up. We've got fireworks on the Saturday night and all fireworks extravaganza, as well as we've got stargazing on, kids' activities during the day, and then a lot of our businesses have been working really hard over the green season to renovate, such as Cloud9, other bars and restaurants providing new offerings as well.
Around $1 million every hour is being lost through pokies across New South Wales. That's according to new data, which also shows poker machine revenue has climbed almost 6% in the first 3 months of this year. In Albury alone, punters lost $24 million at local pubs and clubs, and Wesley Mission's Reverend Stu Cameron says tougher reforms are needed.
That means powering down poker machines between midnight and 10am. That means capping the number of machines in high-risk areas. And that means the introduction of a cashless gambling card with harm reduction measures built in.
A Myrtleford collision last month has sadly turned fatal. It's thought a car reversing from a driveway hit a pedestrian on O'Donnell Avenue just after 9am on May 20. A 59-year-old Myrtleford woman was airlifted to hospital but sadly died earlier this week. And bowel cancer is hitting young people around the country harder than ever. Cases have surged 8% a year for 3 decades, according to a new study. Author Mark Jenkins says border residents born in the 90s face triple the risk.
Theories around at the moment include increasing levels of obesity, increasing levels of physical inactivity, decreasing aspirin use, which usually protects us from bowel cancer. But the one that's looking most promising as a cause are changing bacteria in our gut, or what we call the microbiome.
Most recent data indicates just over 3,800 people have been diagnosed across Victoria's regions.
To sport, in round 7 of the O&M footy, North Albury's Josh Murphy outscored Yarrawonga on his own with 11 goals, leading his team to a 94-point win. Wodonga Bulldogs have had a strong performance at home, handing Myrtleford a 43-point defeat. Albury secured their 4th win of the year with an 87-point win over the Raiders. The Bulldogs handed Myrtleford a 43-point loss. The Rovers locked in a 20-point win over Corowa Rutherglen, and Lavington have given Wangaratta a huge upset with a 22-point victory over the Magpies.
Checking sport now, and another massive weekend in the Ovens and Murray League action around the border following that interleague break. In North Albury has pushed into 2nd place on the senior football ladder after demolishing Yarrawonga 154 points to 60. Elsewhere, Myrtleford's forward advance has been halted by Wodonga, the Saints losing out by 43 points, and Lavington pulled off a shock win over Wangaratta. To round things out, the Roos gave the Rovers a solid challenge but couldn't quite seal the deal, and Albury smacked down the Raiders 160 to 73.
In the NBL1 East Comp, the Albury Wodonga Bandits men's side have locked in a much-needed win before their week off. They took on the Inner West Bulls with a final score 93 to 89. Coach Matt Kowalczyk says he was confident of a win against Inner West.
This was a game that we knew both teams were going to come in needing a win, and they're going to be desperate to get one. They've had a rough month, and they came out firing. They hit 8 threes in the first quarter and built a really big lead on us early. Giving up 34 points in a quarter to anyone is not ideal. But, to our credit, we stuck to our plan. Their shot making started to fall away. We started to get out and play our game, and by the end of it, we managed to come away with a win.
Checking the latest in sport now, and the Albury Wodonga Bandits men have taken their 3rd win of the NBL1 East season, and at home no less. Playing at the Lauren Jackson Sports Centre on Saturday night, the men managed to topple the Inner West Bulls 93 points to 89. Aaron Freeman alone scoring 11 of those for the border squad. The women, meantime, couldn't quite get the job done, despite putting up a solid fight, losing out to the Inner West by only 6 points. Both sides now have this weekend off before returning against the North's Bears on June 14. Ahead of a well-deserved long weekend off, round 12 of the Albury Wodonga Football Association action has seen some pretty big results. The women's action firstly, where Albury United had no answer for Melrose, who toppled the hosts 8-0, while Cobram Raw proved too good for Wodonga Heart 2-1. As for the men's action, the second-placed Wodonga Diamonds are still looking strong, toppling Wangaratta by 6 goals, while Albury United and Cobram Raw also both walked away winners. And briefly, expect to see a few Tigers around the border over the next couple of days. Richmond's AFLW side is headed to our neck of the woods for its community camp.
The bye this weekend has been welcomed by the Albury Wodonga Bandits. The men's side are dealing with several injuries and illness in the squad. Coach Matt Kowalczyk says he's hoping his players will be well rested for when the league returns.
Yeah, look, injury's not too bad. Jake Bowen's still got his quad issue, and that could be an ongoing thing here for a little while. We're not really sure where that'll end up being, but outside of that, everyone is, semi-sick or sick. Everyone's got a cold or a flu or something hanging over their heads, so having some time off will really help, and hopefully we can, move past that before we come back next weekend.
Plenty of Coates Talent League football action coming up this King's Birthday long weekend. The Murray Bushrangers girls are keen to build on last weekend's success against the Northern Territory. This Saturday morning, they're up against the Tasmania Devils squad, who are sitting 15th on the ladder. That's just a couple of places below the Bushies. As for the boys, well, they've got themselves the weekend off and are back out on field on June 15.
In round 8 of the Ovens and Murray footy, Myrtleford Saints are hoping to bounce back from last week's defeat, but are up against ladder leaders Wang Rovers. Wodonga Bulldogs will be optimistic about their chances heading into their clash against Albury. Corowa Rutherglen are hosting the North Albury Hoppers. Yarrawonga welcome the informed Panthers. And Wangaratta Magpies will be confident at home taking on the Wodonga Raiders.
An emerging Murray Bushranger star will feature in an AFL Run Academy this long weekend. Constance Dodd was named in the girls' multicultural squad. They'll hold a camp and matches in Melbourne. Meantime, Tanner Armstrong's in the boys' Indigenous camp to be run in October. And there's a bunch of football and netball action around the border in North East tomorrow. 5th placed Myrtleford will need to put in a huge effort to topple the ladder-leading Rovers. Meantime, Corowa Rutherglen shouldn't give North Albury too much of an issue, while it's 6th v 7th when Wodonga head up to Albury to play the Tigers. Elsewhere, Yarrawonga will be keen to topple the Panthers.
Your brain is a powerful problem solver. But sometimes there are problems we shouldn't have to solve alone, especially when it comes to navigating mental health. So no matter how small, we're always on call to be your guide when you need it. Talk to a mental health professional with our 24/7 Medibank mental health phone and chat support, available to Medibank Health Insurance members. Search Medibank Mental Health Support. Live better with Medibank.
Unleash your vehicle's power beyond limits. Discover our exclusive range of Yuasa automotive batteries, engineered for unparalleled reliability and performance to power your journey like never before. Battery World. Power your passion.